The Morning Brew podcast with Jaffe and Razor, sponsored by Berkshire Bank Home Lending. Where you borrow matters. I will freely admit I can be moody. I can have significant kind of mood swings. First to admit that. And so I'm not going to hide the fact that I am tired as shit right now. And I think so is Razor. So we're going to get right to this thing, because otherwise it might put me into a different place than I want to go. As we welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Post-game, Bruins lose 4-2 to the St. Louis Blues. They've now lost 2 in a row, having lost on Sunday to the Washington Capitals, and then again on Tuesday night to the St. Louis Blues. Razor, listen, being tired is not an excuse for being a crappy broadcaster, although I didn't feel like I had my game tonight at all. But it is a reality. Are we seeing a little bit now that these Bruins, without Hampus Lindholm, without David Pastrnak, without Matt Grzelcyk, are just tired, both mentally and physically right now, with some of the play and some of the mistakes that they made?
No question. And no question, when you have talent like that out of the lineup, you can't get away with some of that tiredness. You can't get away with some of those sloppy plays. You can't have David Pastrnak score 2 in the second period to put you ahead 3-1 instead of being tied 1-1, or get you in a scenario where late in the game you can tie games up. So they looked tired. They looked not disinterested, but also understand the scenario that they're in. They all know that there's no good matchup. They all know that now home ice is getting a little bit further away, but even then it doesn't really matter, in that I got the sense being down there, they're just all looking forward and ahead to the playoffs a little bit.
Well, there's danger in that, though, in that you lose your game before then, meaning that you're not playing at the sharp level that you need to be. But you can't replicate playoffs. We understand that. Playoffs are playoffs. They're a whole different animal. I actually thought there were 12 to 15 minutes of the second period where I thought they played pretty damn well.
Yeah.
And until that penalty, and let's just get right to, all right, listen, St. Louis is a good team, okay? St. Louis is a good team. They're playing beautifully, 8-1 now in their last 9. I was not overly impressed by Ville Husso in this game. I know he's been playing really well, but he's winning. I wasn't like wowed by him. I don't know if you were or not down there, but I was impressed by St. Louis's opportunity to, once they got through the neutral zone, if they didn't get hemmed in their own zone, they were the better team, I thought. They got through the neutral zone and they finished. Tarasenko did it. But the Bruins, I think the Frederick penalty in the second period and then St. Louis scoring that goal to make it 2-2 changed the tenor of this game. Did you feel the same thing from ice level?
At least through the first, leading up to that penalty anyways, maybe a couple minutes before and the penalty piled on, but the first half of that second period, they were all over them. Mm-hmm. There was nothing down at my end. The Bruins had many opportunities, a couple bad puck luck, couple decisions not to shoot the puck when they probably should have, could have. You had the fourth line had that incredible shift where they're out there for a minute 10. They had a couple good opportunities. So yeah, to the point, that's the thing. The last 2 games too, like the Bruins haven't been horrible, like so bad that they've just made a few mistakes and they've held on to the puck too long or not recognized danger at certain times, and that's a tired issue. But tonight was similar in the game Washington, where I thought they actually had some good sustained pressure against a pretty good hockey team. Like you said, 8-1. And yeah, Ville Husso he's a little bit similar to Linus in that
Mm-hmm.
nothing's
Mm-hmm.
pretty. It isn't always going to be pretty. It can get scrambly. It looks like he's lost the puck, but he finds ways to pull it out, and that's what he's been able to do all season, especially with a good team in front of him that can survive the waves of some of this. Which is St. Louis is really good at that. Like they hang around, they have big, long, strong forwards that can wear you down.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that Trent Frederick maybe gets a rest on Wednesday, on Thursday night? 2 penalties in a row, 2 games in a row with penalties that I didn't like it. What about you? I mean, I feel like it just he skated into it, so to speak, right there.
Yeah, he can't go after Tarasenko.
Right.
Like
There's no reason. There's no reason.
That's dumb. And so I think that's the issue is why is he going after Tarasenko? It's just a bad
He
look.
loses that momentary rational thought process, and I think he has I'm going to show that I'm into it, and I'm going to go. But the problem is 99% of the refs are going to give Tarasenko the benefit of the doubt and protect
There's
him.
no question. And the other problem is Tarasenko put the shoulder into him, and then he got embarrassed by Tarasenko.
Exactly.
In a big way. And so it's not so much the actual act, it's recognizing that he doesn't have the clout in this league and probably never will realistically to go after a guy like that after the whistle.
And then Tarasenko gets the last laugh, right? He ends up scoring the third goal.
Of course he does. That's what those guys do.
Right.
Right? Like that's what he probably would, you might have let him sleep a little bit, but Tarasenko, when that happens, he recognizes he has an opportunity to really rub it into everybody in the building, and he's already won a Stanley Cup in that building, and there's some of that as well. Yeah. Let the sleeping dog lay.
I'm curious. Obviously, health, assuming that all forwards are okay. I'm curious if maybe Anton Lee gets in for Trent Frederick, and again on Thursday night against Ottawa. And maybe it's not just one penalty, it's 2 penalties in 2 games, an offensive zone penalty, and then an unnecessary penalty against Tarasenko, and you're putting yourself before the team type of thing. Mm-hmm. And we know that Trent's a good kid, and we know but it's not about that. It's about, hey, you gotta learn your lesson.
Well, and there's no question that there's going to be he's a perfect shakeup candidate just to get everybody's attention again too, because that's what's going to happen with whatever roster change gets made here in the next couple of days, is just to get everyone's tree shaken a little bit. Like, hey, snap out of this selfishness. He used the word selfish for the power play, so something's coming there. That's a big word to be using for a couple Hall of Famers on it. And
it's interesting. The power play, it's just not zipping the puck around. We talked about them recently on the last Morning Bru, not having David. We understand not having Pastrnak is a significant loss, but they're just still not moving it quickly. They're holding on to it, Razor, putting themselves and then their teammates into an area with literally holding onto the puck for an extra second that changes the whole look of the power play, and it eliminates options for them. And it's, I watched them in morning skate. I went over for about 20 minutes, and they were moving it pretty good, but there's definitely something missing. I mean, it's obvious, and it's not just Pastrnak. It's an intensity, a sharpness to the power play. I would just love to start seeing them punch pucks, pump them through, man. Like just start doing it, because they're attacking. The opponent is attacking Bergeron hugely in the middle, or the minute the puck gets outside the dots, they're going after him out there too. It's like it's just this fine line, and usually there's a fine line for a penalty killer of when to attack the opponent and when not to. The team on the power play. It's as if, like, I watched St. Louis. Only one time did they really kind of bring it in. And that was when the Bruins were just starting to move it quick, side to side, low to high a little. Otherwise, Razor, they just attacked them. They just went right at them.
Yeah, there was no hesitation at all. And they just, to your point, the first 10 seconds, first 15 seconds, they stayed in a nice tight box, kept everybody on the outside. And then that first slight little bobble, they're gone. And the Bruins had no answer to it. And it looks horrible. It really does. And the frustrations reach the coaching staff now. So you expect something to go on there. They've already dabbled with the Brusque out there a little bit. Foligno saw a little bit of time out there tonight. And then, and don't forget too, I mean, by the middle of the first period, they're down 3 of their top 4 defensemen.
Yeah.
Which
I know.
really affected them off the rush, really affects their offense, because you can see, as much as what Lindholm's done for Charlie McAvoy to push him offensively, as soon as that's gone and as soon as Grzelcyk's gone, Charlie couldn't play offense tonight.
Right.
He was in
He was
survival
exhausted
mode.
tonight.
Yeah, he's complete, and I'm sure he recognizes, like, this is one of those nights where I got to stay on the outside because I am a little bit tired. And if I go down, we're really in like, this is just a survival mode game. And that kind of in bubble wrap.
27 minutes, 27:02 for Charlie McAvoy. And when I say he was exhausted, he still brings it. I mean, the guy just, he's a horse. What I'm talking about is you could see him going off the ice a few times to the bench and just like kind of giving the door, not a big slam, but just a little bit of a extra nudge and going over and putting the head down for a little bit. Only human. He seems inhuman, or not inhuman, non-human at times, given what he does. But on the other hand, you know what? He's human. So he was tired at times. Let's talk about those injuries. So before the game, you knew that Hampus Lindholm and David Pastrnak still out. Kind of an interesting comment from Bruce Cassidy earlier this morning, Razor, Tuesday morning, about, not curious, interesting, I guess is the word, about how, they seem to be taking a little longer I don't remember the exact term. Did he say recover or to rehab, whatever it is? That caught my ear a little bit. I don't know about you, but yet they're skating. Grzelcyk, was maybe going to. He wasn't completely ruled out, and then now they weren't going to play him. I think Grizz is close. I think Grizz is just dealing with something. I do. After looking at the hit again, I think he's dealing with something that is just going to be on and off. And it's going to be pain threshold, pain tolerance. What can he do to exacerbate it, type of thing. But now with Carlo out, and an interesting other thing is, on the Carlo announcement, it was he is unlikely to return. And then I think Bruce shed a little light on it in the post-game presser, but it was just, he was told that he wasn't feeling well, if I remember correctly. Is that the way he put it? But was that from a hit? Was that from something else? I don't know. Do you have any idea? Do you have any vibe, any feel whatsoever?
I saw Brandon walk out of the building. I didn't talk to him. I just saw him leave the room and head out at the normal time that all the injured guys and all the guys out of the lineup are leaving. So nothing that was
just
obvious.
Precautionary.
Nothing that was obvious. So
okay. All right. Well, I mean,
and again, we've done this with the injuries, right? Like, the day-to-day, maybe Thursday, and it's like, I'm done listening to any of this now. It's literally, all right, like, they haven't done this, they haven't communicated it very well. So it's like, all right, we'll see when they're in the lineup. Because again, yes, Lindholm and Past are skating, but they didn't skate with the team. So that technically means not Thursday for those guys.
Right. I guess unless they practice on Wednesday. Bruins have an 11:30 skate.
But if they're not skating in a morning skate with the team, that typically means they're not really that close. Like a morning skate, there's no contact, there's no nothing. Like, you could have had them out in a red jersey and let them bomb around and take a few wristers, but they're going on early, which means they can't even get the pace yet. And yes, they could show up on Wednesday, but I'm just saying that's not ideal. That they say yes, they skated, but they didn't skate in a morning skate with the whole team, which makes me still very cautious.
I just wonder, because I do wonder, and I'm overanalyzing it. I fully admit it, Razor.
Well, we have to at this point, because that's really all there is to analyze.
You're right. You're right. And this is where, I guess, as an analyst, you actually get your ass in trouble. But I will overanalyze for a moment. Yeah. I'm wondering if they just kept them out of morning skate, because if they just knew that they weren't going to be able to play on Tuesday, it was, guys, go out and get 20, 25 minutes in on your own. And we already have extras up, right? You already had 2 or 3 extras up. How many guys do you want on the ice, I guess, for the morning skate type of thing too? I don't know.
Don't screw up the lines, the whole thing. You can do that too, for sure.
Yeah. So we'll move past that. I want to hit on Swayman in a second, and we're going to talk about, and a tough start, by the way. Holy shit! Come on, team, help him out for Christ's sake! And you get a breakaway, 15 seconds or whatever it was, 30 seconds into the game. Tough. But before we touch on him, let's touch on our wonderful sponsors who help make Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor possible. Fazenda Coffee and our friends at fazendacoffee.com. Go check out the Fazenda Coffee Roasters and use the code Morning Brew at checkout, and you'll get 15% off your order as always. And if you're going out and you want to have a great steak, go to Davio's. And for dessert, have a cup of coffee because it's Fazenda. And you're going to get a great roast and you're going to get a great coffee to end your meal after your steak or your seafood or whatever else you get over at Davio's. But Davio's has probably served Fazenda for a long time. Fazenda Coffee has been with Morning Brew, I like to say this, for a long time. We've only been around for a little over a year, but they've been with us an awful lot, and we greatly appreciate that. We also appreciate Bay State Brewing. Bay State Brewing is located in Worcester. Go to baystatebrewing.com and check them out. And they have got all different types of distinct, unique, and fun beers. I love that Mike Light beer that I drank the other night.
That was good.
It was really good. I mean, I need to. I have one or two more of those. I need to get some more. I love those. Tonight I am drinking a Bling seltzer, and I can't tell you I'm a huge seltzer guy. I've had them before, but the Mandarin Orange one here, it's cold. And it was in front, and I grabbed them like, I need something. I told you I'm grumpy and moody. I'm tired of shit, bud. Now, listen, everybody's tired. Everybody's busy. I'm just like, I got to have something. I got to get something. But I don't know if you've had a chance to try anything more.
Aaron loved the seltzer.
Yeah.
Loved it. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Not too sweet. It's like no aftertaste like some of them do.
No, 5%. Yeah, it's a 5%er, so it's nice. Go check out Bay State Brewing. They're in Worcester in the Canal District, 112 Harding Street, attached to 2 hockey rinks and just a couple of blocks from the Woo Sox ballpark. So the Woo Sox are starting up too. So go check out Bay State Brewing. And they got a full kitchen there with all different types of food, indoor and outdoor seating, video games, a window to watch the hockey, and a whole lot more. They have tons of different beers and drinks. Go check them out. And lastly, Max Pro Hockey. Hey, Jake went out to a skate on Sunday with Max Grachev and a couple of other kids. Has the best time. They worked their asses off, and I know your boys are going to be looking at doing something coming up too. And the kids, besides working hard and learning, have a ton of fun. Max Grachev brings the goods every time he's on the ice. Go check out maxprohockey.com and check out all of their camps, check out all of their individual semi-private lessons, and also their team development program that Max Grachev is putting together. So maxprohockey.com. Thanks to all of them. Swayman. Trying to get himself back to that swayness, if that's a term or not. I'm not sure it is. We have a guy, he goes by Ugg. He's become my buddy on social. And I've met him at the game before. Great guy. He brings up a thing via social media. He says, I don't think Sway helped out the team too much. 2 of the goals, he said, were unscreened and were very much savable in his opinion. IMO, in my opinion. He would love to get AR, and I'm definitely not AR. I'm BJ. He'd love to get AR's take on that. You had a great view. You were down low, and you've got such a keen eye. First of all, okay, the Bruins just put him on his heels, I felt, to start the game. And I like the way he responded after. Perron is really good, man. He's really good. That speed and going to the backhand, it's like he freezes him. He's got nowhere to go, right?
Yes, Perron's very. I mean, I played against Perron. He's been around that long, and he's been doing this since he was a kid. I mean, super skilled, and now he's older and he's a little cagier. Doesn't have the same pop, but he still can score. And I would have liked, if you're gonna. So I'll get nitpicky, but I'm only doing it because it's a goal. Like Jeremy could have had some drift on that. He went. Riley Saucer passes it. He sets his feet right away. And that was kind of something that he was doing very well, not setting his feet. He had some drift. Should have known Perron is a guy who wants to move and go back in. But again, it's not his fault. It's
Right.
10 seconds into the game.
I think Ugg's talking about the Krug goal.
No, I know he's talking about I know he's talking
Yeah.
about the ones in the second. We just
Yeah.
got on that, and then and to the point, Jeremy settled in because again, he knows he's under the gun a little bit. His warm up looked a little different, a little more intense than what it has, and typically he gives up the first one. Fortunately, Patrice goes down and gets one for him down at the other end. That gives you a little pump up as a goaltender, like, okay, no big deal. Now we're still all square in the first minute. Got a post in the power play, made a bunch of saves on the power play, gets an offside goal disallowed. So everything's going well in the first period. Everything goes well through the second. And I don't think this game. So this is where we're at now, right? The end of the season. You have the end of the season. You have playoffs coming up, and you have a goaltender that's a little bit in between, where these goals take on a magnified perspective for everybody. Starts. Jeremy's at the point now where people are starting to criticize him. He's getting and I'm getting it. I'm walking underneath the security guards. Well, hey, he probably could have had that one. Probably, I feel like he's doing this. I feel like, right? This is where his career is already at. And this is the thing with trying to develop in the NHL is that everyone becomes opinionated very quickly when you're in the NHL. And it's hard to grow. It's hard to go through things because literally you get Ugg. And I had 3 other people that really don't know very much, but are in the building all the time underneath say to me, I think he's fighting it a little bit. I don't think he's that confident. And that starts to be the cycle. That's the wordplay that everybody has. That's the story everybody has. And the only way you get out of that is to win and or get shutouts. And that can be difficult because you haven't had to deal with that before. So I think that's just kind of where we're at with Jeremy. None of the goals were bad. None of the goals were his fault. He was better tonight than he'd been in Detroit. And I would even suggest against Columbus and definitely against Toronto.
Yeah, definitely.
But he gives 4 up against 30 shots again. And his numbers get worse. And we're just in that kind of holding pattern. So the Krug one. So you go ahead, but at the end of the day, I think it was a good day. I don't think it was a horrible day for Jeremy. I think it kind of that one of these games that can set him back on the track to progressing, but you don't just snap out of this.
Right.
This is a situation where he's not going to snap out of it with just one game.
Yeah. And Krug, the Krug goal where he had momentum, he pushed, he got himself from flat-footed to going, and he deked Bergeron, right? He dekes, he goes Marchand, he goes in between Marchand and Bergeron, and he's in the mid slot, high slot for sure. I mean, the puck goes through him, but it doesn't. I mean, that's a quick, again, we're watching it in super slow-mo. That's the kind of move as a forward. When you're moving like that, you actually see that spot. As a shooter, I mean, you see that spot and you pump it there, and it's a speed play because he's not getting it, hammering it. He's getting it with movement, with inertia going forward. And I think that throws a goalie off just a little bit. I think the goalie, is like coming out just to whoa, like here comes a guy at me. And Krug, who's got a hell of a shot. And mind you, the Bruins, as good as Charlie McAvoy has been this year, they still miss Krug on the power play. They do. They absolutely miss that maestro back there. I mean, that with the cannon. I mean, my take. I don't know if you agree. I think they do.
I agree. I just not for $6 million a year for the next 6 years. That's all.
Different. Okay. Yeah. Different conversation, but absolutely. The Tarasenko goal, is he talking about the one where he spun around after Robert Thomas does a nice little touch backhand through the legs? Well, I would say there, I mean, from a shooter's perspective, that's where he spins and shoots. First of all, he's got a howitzer of a shot. Second of all, I'm going to guess that Swayman had a hard time picking up the point of release with the movement that was involved there.
Yes, he does. And neither of them are easy plays, but when you put them back to back with 6 minutes left in the second period in a 2-1 game, you got to make one of them. So you give your
I hear you.
and that's the point, right? Like that's where you have to grow that skin. You have to grow that ability to make one of those and recognize that as an NHL goaltender, because that's the expectation. That's Bruce didn't have to talk about Jeremy because he was in such a bad mood after the game. But I guarantee you, if they got to it, he would have said, we needed one of those. We need the goalie to make one of those saves. And that's what he's saying to goalie Bob tonight, because that's just kind of how it works. Ville Husso, to your point, didn't look like he was doing it the right way, but none of those went in on him tonight.
Mm-hmm.
None of those got by him. He made those saves early in the second period that would have made the game 3-1. He made all of those saves, maybe not pretty, but he did, and that's what gets your game through. So again, it's hard being a goalie in the NHL, and it's going to be especially when this time of year.
Right now, and I'm going to probably ask you this every couple of shows.
Yep.
But it's Ullmark's to start right now. Right now.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It is, because his games have looked different. He hasn't, and I'm not saying he would have won that game tonight either. I don't think either of them, had a great opportunity, but this is what happens. You get in the games that it starts to go back and forth, and the way Ullmark's played the last 10 days, then you got to roll with him game one.
Yeah. Well, that Ullmark will jump in on Thursday, which was my guess is then if he plays well, it's obvious he'll play Saturday at home against Pittsburgh. Would have been wonderful to see Tomáš Nosek score one of those 2 goals or attempted goals when was it Curtis Lazar passed to him in the second period.
He's snake bitten.
He is. He hasn't scored since early January. But the fourth line did play well.
I'd almost rather. I don't want Nosek to score the rest of the season.
And then score 4 in the playoffs. Yeah,
exactly. Like, don't score again. Don't even bother. Don't even have one go off your back, or don't even bother. Just keep dumping it in on 2-on-0s and go nuts game one.
19 minutes and 39 seconds for Josh Brown. I want to keep seeing him play. I do.
I didn't mind him tonight.
Yeah, I didn't mind him either. I want to keep seeing him play just to see his game more. I think you have to play him against his old team. I think that would be, you know, with Ottawa coming in, I think that would be not for nostalgia, just for, hey, get out there and show him that, you know who you're with now, and see if he can elevate it even more. And I didn't get a look at his minutes for the season. I can't imagine he's played 1939. Maybe he did with Ottawa. I don't know. Maybe he did at some point, but he gets that opportunity given that Carlo was out of the lineup. Any other things jump out at you? I'm going over the list of things that I had. Oh, McLaughlin. That's what I wanted to talk about. You know, he gets his second goal. Listen, he's
not out of place.
If
I jumped in on you, he's not out of place.
Right. And now at the very least, when a forward goes out, you've got a guy, especially a winger. I mean, he jumps in over Stanika in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, he jumps in.
The puck ends up on his stick. It might end up in the net.
Right.
And you can't say that about a lot of the guys that have toggled in and out of the lineup. And I think, I don't know, what I recognized tonight was he didn't play very much at all. But he still is young enough to have the ability to be impactful if he hasn't had a shift for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is a skill and which can come in handy this time of year or playoff time of year. And that's what stood out to me, is that I feel like he got 2 minutes, 3 minutes of ice in the first period and he scores a goal. Mm-hmm. Like, he has that punch out ability that I don't think they've had in the lineup anywhere else. Because again, like the Stanika thing is always, well, he needs to play with good players. He needs to get a lot of ice time. That's how he's got. No, there's guys that, like, like this, they start their careers out getting points with 3 minutes of ice time,
Mm-hmm.
and it just starts to click. So
You force the coach to play a little more. You
yeah, and
know
you
that they
just
can
end up
count
in
on you.
these situations all of a sudden. So and listen, he's 2 goals in 5 games on very few minutes. So you gotta
10 minutes and 50 seconds, 2 shots on goal, another attempt, 1 hit, 1 giveaway. A couple other things just statistically that jump out. 10 shot attempts by Brad Marchand. 6 of them hit the net. I thought he had some great shifts. Well, I thought, he had some misses too. He had misses. He turned the puck over before the Tarasenko goal, the
yeah,
third
that was a
goal.
big one. That's a brutal play by him, but
And that's just it, right. And
that's Brad.
that's I think what happens when you try to do too much, obviously. Patrice Bergeron was 7 attempts, a minus night or a negative night, below 50% in the faceoff circle, 10 wins, 14 losses. Meanwhile, Eric Haula had 11 wins out of 14, 79% in the faceoff circle. He had a nice assist too. Nice assist to
Yeah.
McLaughlin in the game. 6 shots for Connor Clifton, who on net, and 2 hits, who played as offside at times, given he actually started on the offside, and then because of only 5D after halfway through the first, got a little bit more. He played 21:02. So just some interesting things. Derek Forbert had 22 minutes, 3 hits. I got to see some of that prickness, man, come playoffs out of him. I want to. I
Need to. They need to.
Yeah.
They need to. You'd rather him take that penalty than Frederick.
Right. I'd rather he wouldn't take the penalty for a couple of reasons. One of them being I think he would understand that it's Tarasenko.
Yes. No, I know, but just go and do it. Like
Go and do it, right?
that
Yeah.
point.
Right.
But no, all in all, listen, it's a slog for these guys a little bit, but they're gonna play better.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bruce is very obviously going to take advantage of this loss and get everybody's attention for the next couple games. There's going to be some roster changes, but at the end of the day, you can't. The problem is they can't push it because of these injuries.
Right.
You really that they're at the mercy of these 3-4 injuries. You cannot have any more of them. You
Don't force them back either.
Cannot force them back, and again, once those guys go out, you can't push Charlie more. You have to actually pull him back because this is how more injuries happen, and you see in the playoffs every year is when 2 guys go down, then the 3rd, 4th, 5th guy goes down. And so you have to be careful, very, very careful right now with the Bruins in how you allocate and how you assess what's going on out there.
All right. Last thing, Washington wins again. All right. A huge win. I think it was 9-2 over Philly.
Yeah,
Jesus, Philly sucked. Washington now is just 3 points behind the Bruins. Bruins do have the tiebreaker with regulation wins. So technically it's 4 points, basically. The Bruins are up on them. Do you do everything you can, relatively speaking, to avoid being the second wild card? Does that matter? I mean, it's Florida then. If you're the second wild card, if you're the first wild card, it's Carolina. I mean, does it matter? Does it matter?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it does. I don't think that it definitely doesn't worth it. It's not worth like playing Charlie 27 minutes every single night the rest of the way in just to like get in
Just
and
to say,
and say that you're playing Carolina. So ideally, listen, the Bruins aren't going to lose Thursday night. They're going to find a way to win. Like to our point, the last couple games they weren't horrible. They actually had a chance to win both games.
with a
They
depleted
had leads.
Yeah.
They just made bad mistakes. So I don't. It's not that it's not crazy to think that they're going to win Thursday and find a way on Saturday. But no, to your point, I don't think they want to be 8th place either.
No,
I don't think they
do.
think of them. I don't think they think of themselves in the 8th place team. So
it's funny, yeah, that 8th spot.
They're not happy. Like just so you know, like I was down there in the dressing room after the game, like walking around, like I didn't want my face seen. No one was happy. It was absolutely miserable down there.
Well, good. They should be pissed off because a lot of those, we're seeing self-inflicted wounds, and you're seeing it's not for lack of effort, but it's for lack of execution and lack of smarts at times. And therefore, they should be pissed off. And that's okay. Let's see if they can take advantage of that and make a change. All right, it's going to wrap up this Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Thank you to Berkshire Bank for being our presenting sponsor. Fazenda Coffee, Max Pro Hockey, and Bay State Brewing for being along for the ride. Razor and I will be back with you after Thursday's game, coming out Friday morning with the next Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor after the Bruins take on the Ottawa Senators. The Senators win on Tuesday night, 4-1 over the Detroit Red Wings. They're a fun young team. I don't know how good they really are, but they got a lot of good young pieces. But we'll talk to you after that game. Hopefully Razor is right and the Bruins skate to a victory and get themselves righted after losing the last 2 games. Hang in there, everybody. It's just 2 games. Another one coming up on Thursday. And in the meantime, enjoy your days and enjoy your coffee.